Bricks had been made in a small way by local families, but the beginning of this century saw an increase in commercial brick and tile works. Squire Friar's Manor Brickworks was built at Black Hill about 1911. A large quantity of bricks must have been bought from another yard to build the chimney and kilns. In Verwood, and probably elsewhere in the neighbourhood, more and more houses were being built of brick instead of the traditional cob. The expansion of Bournemouth must have led to a greatly increased demand.
Brickmaking was physically a very hard job. Many workers at this yard also played in the village band. If the band had an engagement, their day's work had to be completed first, often starting in the very early hours of the morning.
This bird's eye view of Verwood must have been taken from the chimney on the day of completion. It shows part of Ringwood Road with a mixture of older cob and newer brick houses, surrounded by large gardens and fields. Few of the cob buildings survive today. Until the 1960s, a feature of Verwood was the ample spacing between houses. Since then, much infilling has taken place, so that many roads are a complete mixture of old and new.
Verwood bricks were highly prized and exported over quite a wide area. Bournemouth Pavilion and the now demolished Continental Cinema at Winton were both built of Verwood brick. A selection of bricks had Verwood marks, although most of those produced were plain. The white brick centre came from a yard at Eblake on the eastern boundary. These distinctive bricks were used for decoration.
The houses to the right are decorated with string courses of Eblake brick. The old primitive Methodist chapel on the left was later demolished and the present chapel replaced it in 1909. The newly emergent telegraph poles brought a novel means of communication to those few who installed the instrument. The post office was Verwood 1 and the station Verwood 2.
The Albion Hotel at Verwood Station shows several interesting features, not least a charming heart picked out in Eblake brick. In recent years, the whole building has been painted and the decoration concealed. The Albion was built as a station hostelry when the railway came through in the 1860s. The stables at the rear were for passengers' horses and also for the proprietor's own horse and cab service, which took passengers to outlying villages. On still nights, the porter's shouts of "Verwood," the slamming of the train doors, followed by the clip-clop of the horses' hooves, could clearly be heard over the surrounding countryside.
The line joins Salisbury to Poole, running through Bremore, Fordingbridge, Alderholt, known as Daggins Road, owing to the continual confusion with Aldershot. Verwood and Westmoors, where there was a junction with a line coming in from Ringwood. It then continued south through Wimborne, Broadstone, Creekmore, Poole, Parkston, Branksome to Bournemouth West. The railway, with its opportunities for trade, increased the expansion and prosperity of Verwood. The station yard was a focal point for many commercial activities, and the inn itself a useful meeting place.
All that is left of the station today is the brick railway arch and a set of steps by which foot passengers gained the platform. The road line has been altered, but the Albion survives as a modest country inn. Verwood was the nearest station to the big houses of the area, Lord Shaftesbury at Wimble St Giles and Lord Salisbury at Cranbourne. Royalty often alighted at the station en route for a visit to these families. King Edward VII was a frequent visitor, King George V and Queen Mary, and also George VI and the present Queen Mother have been here too. On one memorable occasion in the early years of the century, the children from the church school learned a special song to sing as the royal visitors arrived, but were bitterly disappointed when the rival chapel school children cheered and shouted so loudly that their efforts were drowned out.
Coal was among the imports, and the station yard acted as a depot for local villagers. Incoming roofing slates and enamelled household ware competed with local industry, bringing a mixed blessing. It was also a popular passenger line. School children travelled to school in Wimborne and Parkstone. Mothers went shopping in Poole, and there was an excellent connection to London, which would be envied today.
Eastwood farmhouse to the north of the village used also to be the Heathbolt Inn, but it did not survive competition from the Albion. In earlier days it was a haunt of local smugglers who allegedly hid their contraband beneath the floorboards whenever the excise men were reported in the area. There were many encounters between the two sides in this area, just inland from a wild, deserted coast.